Right now, as you're listening to this, your blood sugar might be quietly climbing without you even knowing it. It's 11:47 p.m. on the clock behind me, and I want to ask you something that might change how you think about your nighttime routine forever. What if I told you that one simple cup of tea drunk at exactly the right time tonight could help flush excess sugar from your bloodstream while you sleep, and you could wake up tomorrow morning with more stable glucose levels than you've had in months? Now, before you think this sounds too good to be true, let me be crystal clear about something. I'm not here to sell you miracle cures or overnight transformations. What I'm about to share with you is based on solid nutritional science, decades of research on how certain plant compounds interact with your metabolism, and real-world results from people just like you who are over 60 and tired of feeling like their blood sugar controls their life instead of the other way around. My name is Dr. Richardson, and I've spent the last 23 years helping adults over 60 reclaim their metabolic health through simple, safe, and scientifically backed approaches. I've seen too many people in your age group struggle with blood sugar spikes that seem to come out of nowhere, especially during the night and early morning hours. You know what I'm talking about. You go to bed feeling fine, maybe even proud that you ate a reasonable dinner, and then you wake up to a glucose reading that makes you wonder what went wrong while you were sleeping. Here's what most people don't realize. Your blood sugar doesn't just stop working while you sleep. In fact, some of the most important metabolic processes happen during those quiet nighttime hours. Your liver is processing stored glucose, your hormones are shifting in preparation for morning, and your digestive system is still working on that dinner you ate hours ago. The problem is, as we age, these natural processes can become less efficient, less coordinated, and more prone to creating those frustrating morning glucose spikes that set the tone for your entire day. But what if there was a way to support these natural processes? What if you could give your body exactly what it needs, at exactly the right time, to help everything work more smoothly? That's where this special nighttime tea comes in. And when I say special, I don't mean some exotic blend that costs a fortune or requires ingredients you can't pronounce. I'm talking about a carefully crafted combination of herbs and spices that have been studied extensively for their effects on blood sugar metabolism, prepared in a way that maximizes their benefits for people in your age group. Tonight, I'm going to walk you through everything. The exact recipe, the precise timing, the 24-hour routine that makes it work even better, and most importantly, how to do this safely if you're already taking medications or dealing with other health conditions. But first, I need you to understand why this matters so much more for people over 60 than it does for younger adults. Let me paint a picture that might sound familiar. It's around 9 or 10 p.m. You've finished dinner, maybe you're watching some television or reading, and you're starting to think about heading to bed soon. Everything feels normal. Your blood sugar, if you checked it right now, might even look pretty good. But here's what's happening inside your body that you can't see or feel. First, that dinner you ate 2 or 3 hours ago is still being processed. Even if it was a healthy meal with lean protein and vegetables, your digestive system is still breaking down complex carbohydrates, your liver is still managing the glucose that's entering your bloodstream, and your pancreas is still working to produce the insulin needed to get that glucose into your cells where it can be used for energy. For younger people, this process usually works pretty smoothly. But for adults over 60, several things can go wrong. Your insulin sensitivity naturally decreases with age. This means the same amount of insulin that would have efficiently moved glucose into your cells 20 years ago might not be quite as effective now. The result? Glucose tends to stay in your bloodstream longer, creating higher and more prolonged blood sugar elevations. This is especially problematic at night because you're not being physically active to help burn off that excess glucose. Then there's what happens while you're actually sleeping. Around 3 or 4 in the morning, your body starts preparing for the day ahead by releasing hormones like cortisol and growth hormone. This is completely normal and healthy, but these hormones also signal your liver to release stored glucose to give you energy for the upcoming day. It's called the dawn phenomenon, and it's the reason why so many people wake up with higher blood sugar than when they went to bed, even though they haven't eaten anything for 8 or 9 hours. For people over 60, this dawn phenomenon can be particularly pronounced. Your liver might release more glucose than your body actually needs, or your aging pancreas might not respond as quickly with the insulin needed to manage that glucose release. Either way, you wake up with elevated blood sugar that can take hours to normalize, assuming it normalizes at all. But here's where it gets really interesting and where our nighttime tea strategy comes into play. Certain plant compounds, when consumed at the right time and in the right combinations, can help support your body's natural blood sugar management processes during these critical nighttime hours. They can help improve insulin sensitivity, support healthy liver function, promote better sleep, which is crucial for metabolic health, and even help blunt some of those early morning hormone surges that contribute to dawn phenomenon. The key is understanding not just what to drink, but when to drink it, how to prepare it, and how to integrate it into a complete 24-hour approach that addresses all the factors affecting your blood sugar, not just the tea itself. Because here's the truth that nobody wants to talk about. There's no single magic bullet for blood sugar management. But there are powerful combinations of simple strategies that, when used together consistently, can create remarkable improvements in how you feel and how your glucose levels respond throughout the day and night. Now, let's dive into the fascinating science of why drinking the right tea at night can have such a profound impact on your blood sugar levels. I want you to understand exactly what's happening in your body so you can feel confident about what you're doing and why it works. When you consume certain herbs and spices in liquid form, especially warm liquid form, several beneficial things happen almost immediately. First, the warm temperature helps dilate your blood vessels slightly, which can improve circulation and help nutrients reach your cells more efficiently. Second, liquids are absorbed much more quickly than solid foods, which means the beneficial compounds we're targeting can get to work faster. Third, the act of drinking something warm and soothing can trigger your parasympathetic nervous system, the part of your nervous system responsible for rest, digestion, and healing. This is important because chronic stress and an overactive sympathetic nervous system can significantly worsen blood sugar control. But the real magic happens with the specific ingredients we're going to use. Let's start with Ceylon cinnamon, which is going to be one of our primary ingredients. Now, I need to be very specific here because not all cinnamon is created equal, and this distinction is crucial for your safety and effectiveness. Ceylon cinnamon, sometimes called true cinnamon, contains much lower levels of a compound called coumarin compared to the more common cassia cinnamon you'll find in most grocery stores. Coumarin can be harmful to your liver in large amounts, so for our purposes, especially since we're going to be drinking this regularly, Ceylon cinnamon is the only safe choice. Multiple clinical studies have shown that Ceylon cinnamon can help improve insulin sensitivity and reduce post-meal blood sugar spikes. The mechanism is fascinating. Cinnamon contains compounds called procyanidin polymers that can actually mimic insulin's action in your cells, helping glucose move from your bloodstream into your tissues where it can be used for energy. Additionally, cinnamon appears to slow gastric emptying, which means food moves more slowly from your stomach into your small intestine, resulting in a more gradual release of glucose into your bloodstream rather than sharp spikes. Our second key ingredient is chamomile, and I chose this specifically for nighttime use for several important reasons. Chamomile contains a compound called apigenin, which has been studied for its potential effects on blood sugar metabolism. But more importantly for our nighttime tea, chamomile is naturally caffeine-free and has well-documented calming and sleep-promoting properties. Quality sleep is absolutely crucial for blood sugar control. Poor sleep can increase insulin resistance, elevate stress hormones like cortisol, and disrupt the delicate hormonal balance that regulates your overnight blood sugar levels. Research has shown that people who consistently get less than 6 hours of sleep per night have significantly higher risks of developing type 2 diabetes and worse blood sugar control if they already have diabetes. Chamomile helps address this by promoting deeper, more restful sleep without any of the side effects or dependency risks associated with sleep medications. When you sleep better, your body's natural blood sugar regulation systems work more effectively. The third ingredient I want to discuss is fresh ginger, used in very small amounts. Ginger contains compounds called gingerols and shogales that have been extensively studied for their effects on metabolism. These compounds can help improve insulin sensitivity, reduce inflammation in your blood vessels, and support healthy digestion. The digestive support is particularly important for our nighttime tea because better digestion means more stable blood sugar levels as your body processes your dinner throughout the night. Ginger also has what's called a thermogenic effect, meaning it can slightly increase your metabolic rate and help your body burn glucose more efficiently. However, I emphasize using only small amounts because ginger can be quite stimulating, and we don't want anything that might interfere with your sleep. The goal is to get the metabolic benefits without the energizing effects that could keep you awake. For those who want to explore additional options, we can also discuss fenugreek and hibiscus, though these come with important cautions that we'll cover in detail. Fenugreek seeds contain high levels of soluble fiber and compounds that can significantly lower blood sugar levels. The fiber forms a gel-like substance in your digestive system that slows carbohydrate absorption and helps stabilize glucose levels. However, fenugreek can interact with diabetes medications and blood thinners, so it's not appropriate for everyone. Hibiscus has been studied for its cardiovascular benefits and potential blood sugar effects, but it can lower blood pressure significantly, which could be problematic for people already taking blood pressure medications or those who tend toward low blood pressure. This is why I always emphasize starting with the basic 3-ingredient version of our tea and only adding additional herbs under appropriate medical guidance. Now we're ready to dive into the exact recipe and preparation method for your nighttime blood sugar support tea. I'm going to give you several variations so you can choose the one that's most appropriate for your specific situation and preferences, but I want you to master the basic version first before considering any additions or modifications. Our foundation recipe contains just 3 ingredients: Ceylon cinnamon, chamomile flowers, and fresh ginger. For 1 cup of tea, you'll need 1/2 teaspoon of Ceylon cinnamon powder or 1 small stick of Ceylon cinnamon bark, 1 tablespoon of dried chamomile flowers or 1 chamomile tea bag, and 1 thin slice of fresh ginger, about the size of a nickel and roughly 1/8 inch thick. If you can't find fresh ginger, you can substitute 1/4 teaspoon of ground ginger powder, but fresh is always preferable because it contains more active compounds and has a gentler effect. Here's the critical part about sourcing your ingredients. For Ceylon cinnamon, you'll need to read labels carefully or shop at health food stores, because most grocery stores carry cassia cinnamon, which looks similar but isn't suitable for regular consumption in therapeutic amounts. True Ceylon cinnamon will usually be labeled as such, and it tends to be lighter in color and milder in flavor than cassia cinnamon. It's worth investing in high-quality Ceylon cinnamon because you'll be using this regularly, and the difference in both safety and effectiveness is significant. For chamomile, you want to look for whole dried flowers rather than powdered chamomile when possible. Whole flowers retain more of their beneficial compounds and produce a more effective tea. If you're using tea bags, make sure they contain pure chamomile without any added flavors, oils, or other herbs that might interfere with blood sugar management. Some chamomile teas are blended with other herbs for taste, but for our therapeutic purposes, pure chamomile is what we need. The ginger should be fresh, firm, and aromatic. Avoid ginger that feels soft, looks wrinkled, or has any signs of mold. When you slice it, you should be able to smell that characteristic sharp, spicy ginger aroma immediately. This tells you the active compounds are still potent. You don't need to peel the ginger if it's organic and well washed, but if you're unsure about the source, go ahead and peel the small section you're using. Now, let's talk about preparation because how you make this tea is almost as important as what goes in it. Start with 8 ounces of filtered water in a small saucepan. Avoid using tap water if it's heavily chlorinated, as chlorine can interfere with some of the beneficial compounds we're trying to extract. Bring the water to a rolling boil, then add your Ceylon cinnamon. If you're using a cinnamon stick, add it directly to the boiling water. If you're using powder, create a small slurry by mixing the powder with a tablespoon of cool water first, Then add this mixture to the boiling water. This prevents the powder from clumping and ensures better extraction. Let the cinnamon boil gently for 3 minutes. This initial boiling is necessary to extract the water-soluble compounds from the cinnamon that have the most significant effects on blood sugar. After 3 minutes, add your slice of fresh ginger and continue to simmer for another 2 minutes. The ginger compounds extract more quickly than cinnamon, so they don't need as long. After the 5-minute total simmering time, remove the saucepan from heat and immediately add your chamomile flowers or tea bag. Do not add the chamomile while the water is still boiling, as the high temperature can destroy some of the delicate compounds that promote sleep and relaxation. Cover the saucepan and let the tea steep for exactly 10 minutes. This steeping time allows the chamomile to fully infuse while the water cools to the optimal drinking temperature. After 10 minutes, strain out all the solid ingredients. If you used a cinnamon stick, remove it. Take out the ginger slice, and if you used loose chamomile flowers, strain them through a fine mesh strainer. If you used a tea bag, simply remove and discard it. What you should have left is a golden-colored aromatic tea that smells of cinnamon and chamomile with just a hint of ginger warmth. Here's something crucial that many people get wrong. Do not add any sweeteners to this tea. No honey, no stevia, no artificial sweeteners, nothing. I know it might taste a bit unusual at first, especially if you're used to sweetened beverages, but adding any form of sweetener defeats the purpose of what we're trying to accomplish. The goal is to give your body a break from processing any form of sugar or sugar substitute, allowing your blood sugar levels to stabilize naturally overnight. If you absolutely cannot tolerate the taste without some form of sweetening, there are 2 natural options that won't interfere with blood sugar management. First, you can add a small piece of apple peel while the tea is steeping. The natural fruit sugars in apple peel are minimal, but they can add a subtle sweetness and pleasant aroma. Second, you can add a single whole clove or a small piece of star anise during the simmering phase, which will add natural sweetness without any actual sugars. The finished tea should be consumed at a comfortably warm temperature, not hot enough to burn your tongue, but warm enough that you can feel the heat as you drink it. This warmth is important for the absorption of the beneficial compounds and for triggering the relaxation response we want to achieve before bedtime. 1 batch of this recipe makes exactly 1 serving, and it should be consumed fresh each night. Don't make large batches and store them, as the beneficial compounds degrade over time, and reheating can destroy some of the more delicate elements. The entire preparation process, from start to finish, takes about 15 minutes, and I recommend making this part of your evening routine so it becomes an automatic, meditative practice that signals to your body that it's time to begin winding down for sleep. For those who find ginger too stimulating or who have sensitive stomachs, here's an alternative version that's equally effective. Use the same amount of Ceylon cinnamon and chamomile, but replace the ginger with a small piece of fresh lemon peel, about 1 inch long and ½ an inch wide. Add the lemon peel during the last 2 minutes of simmering, just like you would the ginger. Lemon peel contains compounds called limonoids that can help support healthy digestion and liver function, both important for overnight blood sugar management, but without the potentially stimulating effects of ginger. Understanding when to drink your nighttime blood sugar support tea is just as crucial as knowing how to make it. The timing can mean the difference between experiencing significant benefits and seeing little to no change in your overnight glucose levels. Let me walk you through the precise timing strategy that has proven most effective for adults over 60. The optimal window for consuming this tea is 60 to 90 minutes after you've finished eating dinner. This timing is based on how your digestive system processes food and when your blood sugar typically reaches its peak after a meal. For most people, blood glucose levels start rising within 15 to 30 minutes after eating and reach their highest point about 1 to 2 hours post-meal. By drinking your tea 60 to 90 minutes after dinner, you're introducing these beneficial compounds right as your blood sugar is likely reaching its peak, allowing them to help modulate and stabilize those levels as they naturally begin to decline. But there's another crucial timing consideration. you want to finish your tea at least 2 to 3 hours before you plan to go to sleep. This might seem counterintuitive since we're calling this a nighttime tea, but there are important reasons for this timing. First, you want to avoid waking up during the night to use the bathroom, which can disrupt the deep sleep phases that are so important for blood sugar regulation. Second, you want to give your body time to process the liquid and begin utilizing the beneficial compounds before you enter those critical early morning hours when dawn phenomenon typically occurs. So let's work through a practical example. If you typically eat dinner at 6 p.m. and go to bed at 10 p.m., you would drink your tea between 7 and 7:30 p.m., then finish it by 8 p.m. at the latest. This gives you a full 2 hours before bedtime and ensures the tea is consumed during that optimal post-meal window when it can have the most impact on your blood sugar trajectory. The amount of tea is also important, and this is where many people make mistakes. 1 cup, which is 8 fluid ounces, is the correct serving size for most adults over 60. This provides enough liquid to extract and deliver the beneficial compounds without overwhelming your system or creating problems with nighttime bathroom trips. Some people think that if 1 cup is good, 2 cups must be better, but this isn't true. More is not better when it comes to herbal preparations, and consuming too much liquid before bed will definitely interfere with your sleep quality. However, there are some individual factors that might require adjusting the timing or amount. If you have a slower metabolism or tend to eat dinner later in the evening, you might need to extend that post-meal window to 2 hours instead of just 60 to 90 minutes. If you're someone who typically eats very light dinners or tends to have faster digestion, you might find that 60 minutes post-meal is optimal for you. People taking diabetes medications need to be particularly careful about timing. If you take fast-acting insulin with meals, you'll want to drink your tea after your post-meal blood sugar peak has occurred but before your insulin action is completely finished. This usually means the 60 to 90 minute window works well, but you should monitor your blood sugar more frequently when you first start incorporating the tea to make sure you're not experiencing any unexpected drops in glucose levels. For those taking metformin or other oral diabetes medications that are typically taken with dinner, the timing becomes even more important. These medications are working to help your body process the glucose from your meal, and the tea can complement this action. However, you should never adjust your medication timing or dosages without consulting your healthcare provider first. The tea is meant to work alongside your existing treatment plan, not replace it. There's also the question of how many days per week to drink the tea. For most people, I recommend starting with 4 to 5 nights per week rather than every single night. This allows your body to adapt gradually and helps you assess how you're responding without overwhelming your system. Many people find that this frequency provides excellent results while still allowing for some flexibility in your routine. After 2 weeks of drinking the tea 4 to 5 nights per week, if you're tolerating it well and seeing positive changes in your morning blood sugar readings or sleep quality, you can consider increasing to nightly use if desired. However, some people find that the 4 to 5 night schedule continues to work best for them long term, and that's perfectly fine. Consistency is more important than frequency when it comes to natural approaches to blood sugar management. Pay attention to how you feel on the nights you don't drink the tea compared to the nights you do. Many people report that they sleep more soundly and wake up feeling more refreshed on the nights they use the tea. If you notice that you're becoming dependent on the tea for good sleep, or if you find that your blood sugar control is significantly worse on the nights you skip it, this might indicate that you need to address other aspects of your evening routine or overall health management. One important timing consideration that many people overlook is what you do in the hour after drinking your tea. This is not the time for stimulating activities like intense exercise, exciting television shows, or stressful phone calls. The compounds in the tea work best when your body is in a relaxed state, so plan to spend that hour before bedtime doing gentle, calming activities like light stretching, reading, listening to soft music, or practicing relaxation techniques. While our nighttime tea is powerful, its effects can be dramatically enhanced when it's part of a comprehensive 24-hour approach to blood sugar management. Think of the tea as the cornerstone of an entire system designed to keep your glucose levels stable and your energy consistent throughout the day and night. Let me walk you through each part of this routine and explain how every element works together to support your metabolic health. Let's start with how you wake up in the morning, because what you do in the first hour after opening your eyes can set the tone for your entire day's blood sugar pattern. The moment you wake up, before you even get out of bed, I want you to do 3 simple things. First, take 5 slow, deep breaths. This activates your parasympathetic nervous system and helps counteract the natural cortisol surge that happens when you wake up. High cortisol levels can contribute to elevated morning blood sugar, so this simple breathing exercise can help minimize that effect. Second, before you reach for your phone or start thinking about your to-do list, spend 2 minutes doing gentle stretches right in bed. Simple ankle circles, gentle spinal twists while lying on your back, and easy shoulder rolls. This light movement helps activate your lymphatic system and gets your circulation moving, which supports better glucose uptake by your cells throughout the day. Third, and this is crucial, get some natural light exposure within the first 30 minutes of waking up. This means stepping outside for at least 10 minutes, or if weather doesn't permit, sitting by a large window where you can see the sky. Natural light exposure helps regulate your circadian rhythm, which in turn helps regulate the hormones that control blood sugar throughout the day. Many people over 60 spend too much time indoors, and this lack of natural light exposure can contribute to disrupted sleep patterns and poor blood sugar control. After this morning light exposure, it's time for your first bit of gentle movement. I'm talking about a 10 to 15 minute walk at a comfortable pace. You're not trying to get your heart rate up significantly, you're just trying to get your body moving and help wake up your metabolism. This morning walk serves several important purposes. It helps your muscles begin using glucose for energy, which naturally lowers blood sugar. It supports healthy circulation, getting nutrients and oxygen to all your tissues. And it helps establish a rhythm of regular movement that you'll continue throughout the day. Now let's talk about breakfast, because what you eat first thing in the morning has a huge impact on your blood sugar stability for the rest of the day. The biggest mistake people over 60 make with breakfast is either skipping it entirely or eating something that's primarily carbohydrates with little protein or fiber. Both of these approaches set you up for blood sugar instability throughout the day. Your ideal breakfast should contain approximately 20 to 25 grams of high-quality protein, at least 5 grams of fiber, and some healthy fats. The protein could come from eggs, Greek yogurt, cottage cheese, or even a protein smoothie made with low-sugar protein powder and vegetables. The fiber should come from vegetables, berries, or small amounts of whole grains like oatmeal or quinoa. The healthy fats might come from avocado, nuts, seeds, or olive oil. Here's a practical example of what this looks like. 2 eggs scrambled with spinach and bell peppers, cooked in a small amount of olive oil, served with half an avocado and a small serving of berries. This combination provides sustained energy, helps stabilize blood sugar, and keeps you feeling satisfied for hours without the mid-morning energy crash that comes from carbohydrate-heavy breakfasts. The timing of breakfast is also important. Try to eat within 2 hours of waking up, and make sure you're eating slowly and mindfully. Rushed eating can cause blood sugar spikes because your body doesn't have time to properly signal satiety, and you may end up eating more than you need. Take at least 15 to 20 minutes to eat your breakfast, chewing thoroughly and paying attention to how the food tastes and how your body feels as you eat. After breakfast, here's a strategy that can make a significant difference in your post-meal blood sugar response. Take another short walk. Just 5 to 10 minutes of gentle walking after eating can help lower your post-meal glucose spike by as much as 20 to 30%. This doesn't need to be intense exercise. Even a slow stroll around your house or yard can be effective. The key is to get moving within 30 minutes of finishing your meal. As we move through the day, hydration becomes crucial for blood sugar management. Many adults over 60 are chronically mildly dehydrated, which can worsen blood sugar control because your blood becomes more concentrated when you're dehydrated, making glucose levels appear higher than they actually are functionally. Aim for 6 to 8 glasses of water throughout the day, but avoid drinking large amounts with meals, as this can interfere with digestion. Lunch should follow similar principles to breakfast. Balanced protein, plenty of vegetables, some healthy fats, and controlled portions of complex carbohydrates if you choose to include them. A good template is to make half your plate non-starchy vegetables, 1/4 lean protein, and 1/4 complex carbohydrates like sweet potato, brown rice, or quinoa. Follow lunch with another 5 to 10 minute walk if possible. The afternoon hours, particularly between 2 and 4 p.m., can be challenging for blood sugar stability. Many people experience an energy dip during this time, which can lead to cravings for sugary or refined carbohydrate snacks. Instead of reaching for these blood sugar disrupting foods, this is the perfect time for a healthy snack that combines protein and fiber. Some good options include a small handful of nuts with an apple, celery sticks with almond butter, or Greek yogurt with a few berries. Dinner timing and composition are particularly important because this meal needs to set you up for stable blood sugar throughout the night. Try to eat dinner at least 3 hours before bedtime, and keep the portion sizes moderate. Your digestive system naturally slows down in the evening, so large meals can lead to prolonged blood sugar elevations that persist well into the night. For dinner, emphasize lean proteins like fish, poultry, or plant-based proteins, plenty of vegetables, and smaller portions of starches than you might have eaten earlier in the day. This isn't because carbohydrates are inherently bad, but because your body's ability to process them efficiently decreases as the day progresses, especially for adults over 60. One of the most powerful strategies you can implement is a post-dinner walk. Even just 10 minutes of gentle walking after dinner can significantly reduce your post-meal blood sugar spike and help set you up for more stable glucose levels throughout the night. This walk should be at a leisurely pace, just enough to get your body moving and help with digestion. The hour before bed is when you want to begin your wind-down routine. This is the time to dim the lights in your home, turn off electronic devices, and begin preparing your body for sleep. Poor sleep quality can worsen blood sugar control significantly, so creating conditions for deep, restful sleep is crucial for your metabolic health. Your bedroom should be cool, ideally between 65 and 68 degrees Fahrenheit. Keep it as dark as possible, using blackout curtains or an eye mask if necessary. Remove electronic devices or at least put them in airplane mode, as the electromagnetic fields can interfere with sleep quality for some people. If you need to use the bathroom during the night, use a small red light flashlight instead of turning on bright overhead lights, which can disrupt your circadian rhythm. This is also when you would prepare and drink your blood sugar support tea, following the timing guidelines we discussed earlier. The act of preparing the tea becomes part of your wind-down routine, signaling to your body that it's time to begin transitioning into sleep mode. Throughout this entire 24-hour routine, consistency is more important than perfection. You don't need to follow every single element perfectly every single day. Instead, aim to incorporate most of these strategies most of the time. Even implementing 70% of these recommendations consistently will provide significant benefits for your blood sugar control and overall well-being. One of the most empowering aspects of this nighttime tea approach is that you can easily measure and track its effectiveness using simple tools you may already have at home. Proper monitoring not only helps you see the benefits of what you're doing, but it also provides valuable feedback that allows you to fine-tune your approach for even better results. Let me walk you through exactly how to track your progress in a way that's meaningful but not overwhelming. The most straightforward way to monitor the effects of your nighttime tea is using a basic glucose meter, the same type that many people with diabetes use for daily monitoring. Even if you don't have diabetes, these meters are available over the counter at any pharmacy and can provide valuable insights into how your blood sugar responds to different foods, activities, and interventions like our tea. Here's the specific monitoring protocol I recommend. For the first week before you start drinking the tea, establish your baseline by checking your blood sugar twice each day. Check it once right before you go to bed, and once immediately upon waking up, before you eat or drink anything other than water. Write down both numbers along with the date and time. This gives you 7 days of baseline data to compare against once you start the tea. Starting with week 2, begin drinking your nighttime tea according to the timing and preparation guidelines we've discussed. Continue checking your blood sugar at the same 2 times each day, before bed and upon waking. Now you'll start to see patterns. You might notice that your bedtime readings begin to trend lower, or that the difference between your bedtime and morning readings becomes smaller, or that your morning readings become more consistent from day to day. Don't focus too much on daily variations because blood sugar can fluctuate for many reasons including stress, sleep quality, activity levels, and even changes in weather. Instead, look for weekly trends. After drinking the tea for a full week, calculate the average of your 7 bedtime readings and compare it to your baseline week average. Do the same for your morning readings. Many people see improvements within the first week, but some may take 2 to 3 weeks to notice significant changes. Keep a simple log that includes more than just the numbers. Note the time you drank your tea, how well you slept that night on a scale of 1 to 10, whether you woke up during the night, how you felt upon waking, and your energy level throughout the following day. This additional information helps you understand the full impact of what you're doing and can reveal benefits that go beyond just blood sugar numbers. For example, you might notice that even if your morning glucose readings haven't changed dramatically, you're sleeping more soundly and waking up feeling more refreshed. Or you might observe that your afternoon energy levels are more stable on the days following nights when you drank the tea. These subjective improvements are just as important as the numerical changes and often appear before the blood sugar improvements become obvious. Some people find it helpful to also track their post-meal blood sugar responses, especially after dinner. If you choose to do this, check your blood sugar before dinner, then again 2 hours after you've finished eating. This can help you understand how your evening meal affects your overnight blood sugar and whether the tea is helping to moderate those post-dinner spikes. There are several smartphone apps designed for tracking blood sugar that can make this monitoring easier and more organized. These apps can calculate averages, identify trends, and even generate reports that you can share with your healthcare provider. However, a simple notebook or even a basic spreadsheet works just as well if you prefer not to use technology. Beyond blood sugar numbers, pay attention to other indicators that suggest improved metabolic health. Are you experiencing fewer sugar cravings throughout the day? Do you feel more stable energy levels? Are you sleeping through the night more consistently? Has your mood improved? Are you feeling less anxious about your health? These qualitative improvements often precede measurable changes in blood sugar and can be early indicators that the tea is having positive effects on your overall well-being. It's also worth noting what doesn't constitute success, so you don't get discouraged by unrealistic expectations. You're not looking for dramatic overnight transformations or perfect blood sugar readings every single day. Blood sugar naturally varies from day to day in everyone, including people with perfectly normal glucose metabolism. What you're looking for are gradual trends toward improvement and increased stability over time. If you're taking diabetes medications, it's particularly important to share your tracking information with your healthcare provider. They need to know about any natural interventions you're using, and they may want to adjust your medications as your blood sugar control improves. Never adjust your medication doses on your own, even if your blood sugar readings are improving significantly. Some people become overly focused on the numbers and start checking their blood sugar multiple times throughout the day. While occasional additional monitoring can provide interesting insights, checking too frequently can become stressful and counterproductive. Stress itself can raise blood sugar levels, so obsessive monitoring can actually work against what you're trying to achieve. Stick to the simple twice-daily routine unless your healthcare provider recommends otherwise. After you've been using the tea and tracking your results for 4 to 6 weeks, you'll have enough data to make informed decisions about whether to continue, modify your approach, or explore additional strategies. If you're seeing clear improvements in your sleep quality, morning energy levels, and blood sugar stability, you know you're on the right track. If you're not seeing the changes you hoped for, don't give up immediately. Sometimes it takes longer for the full benefits to become apparent, especially if you're dealing with long-standing blood sugar issues. While our nighttime blood sugar support tea uses natural ingredients that have been consumed safely by millions of people for centuries, it's crucial that we discuss important safety considerations, especially for adults over 60 who may be taking medications or dealing with multiple health conditions. Natural doesn't automatically mean safe for everyone, and responsible use requires understanding both the benefits and potential risks. Let's start with the most important safety consideration: medication interactions. If you're currently taking any medications for diabetes, blood pressure, or blood thinning, you need to be particularly careful and should discuss this tea with your healthcare provider before starting. Ceylon cinnamon, even though it's much safer than cassia cinnamon, can still enhance the effects of diabetes medications, potentially leading to blood sugar levels that drop too low. This interaction isn't necessarily dangerous if you're monitoring appropriately, but it's something you need to be aware of and prepared for. The signs of blood sugar dropping too low include shakiness, sweating, confusion, rapid heartbeat, dizziness, or feeling unusually hungry. If you experience any of these symptoms, especially within a few hours of drinking the tea, check your blood sugar immediately if possible, and consume some fast-acting carbohydrates like glucose tablets, fruit juice, or regular soda. If symptoms are severe or don't improve quickly, seek medical attention immediately. For people taking blood pressure medications, both the cinnamon and especially hibiscus, if you choose to use it in the optional variations, can lower blood pressure further. While this might sound beneficial, it can actually be problematic if your blood pressure drops too low. Signs of excessively low blood pressure include dizziness when standing up, lightheadedness, fatigue, blurred vision, or feeling faint. If you experience these symptoms regularly after starting the tea, discontinue use and consult with your healthcare provider. If you're taking blood-thinning medications like warfarin, aspirin, or newer anticoagulants, the cinnamon in our tea could potentially enhance these effects. While the amounts we're using are relatively small, regular consumption over time could theoretically increase your risk of bleeding or bruising. Pay attention to any unusual bruising, bleeding gums, or cuts that take longer than usual to stop bleeding, and report these to your healthcare provider immediately. People with certain medical conditions should either avoid this tea entirely or use it only under close medical supervision. If you have active kidney disease, the additional fluid intake and the compounds in these herbs could potentially stress your kidneys further. Kidney function naturally declines with age, so even if you haven't been diagnosed with kidney disease, if you have any concerns about kidney health, discuss this with your doctor first. Liver disease is another important contraindication. Your liver is responsible for processing all the compounds in this tea, and if your liver function is compromised, you might not be able to metabolize these substances safely. Additionally, some people have rare genetic variations that make them less able to process certain compounds found in cinnamon and ginger, though this is uncommon. Gastroesophageal reflux disease, or GERD, can be worsened by ginger, even in the small amounts we're using. If you have a history of severe heartburn, stomach ulcers, or other digestive issues, start with the alternative version of the tea that uses lemon peel instead of ginger, or consider using only the cinnamon and chamomile combination. Pregnancy and breastfeeding women should avoid this tea entirely. While chamomile is generally considered safe during pregnancy, the concentrations of cinnamon we're using for therapeutic blood sugar effects are higher than typical culinary amounts, and there isn't enough safety data for these higher concentrations during pregnancy. The same precaution applies to women who are breastfeeding. Allergic reactions, while rare, are possible with any of these ingredients. Chamomile is related to ragweed, so people with ragweed allergies might also react to chamomile. Signs of an allergic reaction include rash, itching, swelling, difficulty breathing, or severe dizziness. If you experience any of these symptoms after drinking the tea, discontinue use immediately and seek medical attention if symptoms are severe. Before starting this tea regimen, there are several questions you should honestly answer. Are you currently taking any medications, including over-the-counter supplements? Do you have any diagnosed medical conditions, even if they seem unrelated to blood sugar? Have you had any surgeries in the past 6 months? Do you have any known food allergies or sensitivities? Have you experienced any unusual symptoms lately that you haven't discussed with a healthcare provider? If you answered yes to any of these questions, it's worth having a conversation with your healthcare provider before starting the tea. This isn't because the tea is dangerous, but because your individual health situation might require modifications to the recipe, timing, or monitoring approach. When you do start the tea, begin with smaller amounts and less frequent use than the full protocol. Try drinking just half a cup 3 times in the first week, paying close attention to how you feel and how your body responds. If you tolerate this well, gradually increase to the full cup 4 to 5 times per week is recommended. Keep a detailed log of not just your blood sugar readings, but also any symptoms, changes in how you feel, or anything unusual you notice. This information could be invaluable if you need to discuss your experience with a healthcare provider later. It's also important to understand what constitutes a reason to stop the tea immediately. If you experience persistent nausea, vomiting, severe stomach pain, signs of allergic reaction, symptoms of low blood sugar or low blood pressure, or if your blood sugar readings become erratic or concerning, discontinue the tea and consult with a healthcare provider promptly. One final safety consideration that many people overlook is the importance of purchasing high-quality ingredients from reputable sources. Herbs and spices can be contaminated with heavy metals, pesticides, or other harmful substances if they're not properly sourced and tested. Invest in organic ingredients when possible, and buy from companies that provide certificates of analysis or third-party testing results. Remember that this tea is meant to complement, not replace, proper medical care. If you have diabetes or prediabetes, you still need regular medical monitoring and appropriate medical treatment. If you don't currently have a healthcare provider or haven't had your blood sugar checked recently, starting this tea protocol might be a good motivation to establish that relationship and get current baseline lab work done. In my years of helping people implement natural approaches to blood sugar management, I've seen certain mistakes repeated over and over again. These mistakes can not only reduce the effectiveness of what you're trying to accomplish, but in some cases, they can actually make your blood sugar control worse. Let me walk you through the most common pitfalls and exactly how to avoid them. The number one mistake people make is adding sweeteners to the tea. I cannot emphasize this strongly enough. Any form of sweetener defeats the entire purpose of what we're trying to achieve. This includes honey, which many people think is somehow healthier than other sweeteners when it comes to blood sugar impact. Honey is still sugar, and it will cause your blood glucose to rise just like any other sweetener. I've had people tell me they're only adding a tiny bit of honey or just a quarter teaspoon of stevia, but even these small amounts can interfere with the tea's benefits. The goal is to give your digestive system and blood sugar regulation mechanisms a complete break from processing any form of sweetener. Your taste buds will adapt to the natural flavors of the herbs within a week or two, and many people actually come to prefer the unsweetened version once they're used to it. If you absolutely cannot tolerate the taste without some modification, use one of the natural flavoring options I mentioned earlier. A small piece of apple peel or a single whole clove added during the brewing process. These add subtle sweetness and aroma without the blood sugar impact of actual sweeteners. The second major mistake is using the wrong type of cinnamon. I see this constantly, and it's a safety issue as much as an effectiveness issue. Most grocery stores carry cassia cinnamon, which contains high levels of coumarin, a compound that can damage your liver with regular consumption in therapeutic amounts. Ceylon cinnamon contains much lower levels of coumarin and is the only type safe for regular use in the amounts we're recommending. Cassia cinnamon and Ceylon cinnamon look similar, so you need to read labels carefully. True Ceylon cinnamon will be specifically labeled as such and is usually more expensive than regular cinnamon. If the label just says cinnamon without specifying the type, it's almost certainly cassia cinnamon, and you should not use it for this tea. The third mistake is drinking caffeinated teas in the evening and wondering why they're not getting the sleep benefits we discussed. Some people substitute green tea or black tea for the chamomile, thinking they're getting additional blood sugar benefits from the tea polyphenol. While green and black teas do have some beneficial compounds for blood sugar management, they contain significant amounts of caffeine that can interfere with sleep quality, especially for adults over 60 who tend to be more sensitive to caffeine's effects. Poor sleep quality will worsen your blood sugar control and counteract any benefits you might get from the other ingredients. Stick with caffeine-free herbs for your nighttime tea. If you want to incorporate green or white tea for their blood sugar benefits, drink them earlier in the day, preferably before 2 p.m. Another common mistake is drinking the tea too close to bedtime and then having to wake up multiple times during the night to use the bathroom. This disrupts your sleep cycles and can actually worsen your morning blood sugar readings. Remember, you want to finish drinking your tea at least 2 to 3 hours before you plan to go to sleep. The compounds in the tea don't need to be consumed immediately before bed to be effective overnight. They just need to be in your system during those critical early morning hours when dawn phenomenon typically occurs. Many people also make the mistake of inconsistent timing. They might drink the tea at 7 p.m. one night, 9:30 p.m. the next night, and then skip it entirely for a few days. Consistency in timing helps your body establish a rhythm and maximizes the benefits. Try to drink your tea at approximately the same time each night, within that 60 to 90 minute post-dinner window we discussed. I also see people making the tea too strong, thinking that more concentrated herbs will provide better results. This is not true and can actually cause side effects like stomach upset or overly stimulating effects from the ginger. Follow the recipe proportions carefully. If anything, err on the side of making it slightly weaker rather than stronger, especially when you're first starting out. Some people make large batches of tea and store it in the refrigerator to save time during the week. While this seems logical, it significantly reduces the potency of the beneficial compounds. Many of the active ingredients in these herbs are delicate and degrade quickly once extracted into water. Fresh tea made daily is far more effective than stored tea, even if the stored tea is only a day or two old. Another mistake is adding too many additional ingredients too quickly. I've had people tell me they've created their own versions with 8 or 10 different herbs because they read online that each one has blood sugar benefits. More is not better when it comes to herbal preparations, and combining too many different herbs can lead to unexpected interactions or side effects. Master the basic 3-ingredient recipe first, and only consider additions after you've been using the basic version successfully for at least a month. Improper preparation is also common. Some people try to speed up the process by using boiling water throughout the entire brewing process, including for the chamomile. This destroys many of the delicate compounds that promote relaxation and sleep. Others don't simmer the cinnamon long enough to extract the beneficial compounds. Follow the preparation instructions exactly as outlined. Simmer the cinnamon for 3 minutes, add the ginger for 2 more minutes, then remove from heat before adding the chamomile and steeping for 10 minutes. Finally, one of the biggest mistakes is having unrealistic expectations about timing and results. Some people expect to see dramatic changes in their blood sugar readings after just 1 or 2 nights of drinking the tea. While some people do notice improvements quickly, for most people, especially those with long-standing blood sugar issues, it takes 2 to 4 weeks of consistent use to see significant changes. Don't get discouraged if your results aren't immediately obvious. Focus on the process rather than constantly checking for results. Consistency with the tea preparation, timing, and the overall 24-hour routine we discussed is what creates lasting improvements in blood sugar stability and overall metabolic health. Let me share with you a detailed account of one of my clients who experienced remarkable improvements using this exact nighttime tea protocol. I'm sharing this not to promise that you'll have identical results because everyone's body responds differently, but to show you how this approach can work in real life and what the journey of improvement might look like. Margaret is a 72-year-old retired teacher who came to me 8 months ago feeling frustrated and frankly scared about her blood sugar levels. She had been diagnosed with prediabetes 3 years earlier, and despite her best efforts with diet and exercise, her morning glucose readings had been creeping steadily upward. Her doctor had begun discussing the possibility of starting metformin, and Margaret desperately wanted to try natural approaches before adding medications to her daily routine. When Margaret first started tracking her blood sugar, her typical pattern showed bedtime readings around 120 to 130 milligrams per deciliter, which isn't terrible, but her morning readings were consistently between 140 and 150 milligrams per deciliter. This meant her blood sugar was rising significantly overnight, a classic sign of dawn phenomenon that's common in adults her age. More troubling to Margaret than the numbers was how she felt. She described waking up feeling foggy and tired most mornings, even after what seemed like adequate sleep. She was experiencing afternoon energy crashes that led to cravings for sweet snacks, and she felt like she was on a constant roller coaster of energy highs and lows throughout the day. We started Margaret on the basic 3-ingredient nighttime tea recipe: Ceylon cinnamon, chamomile, and a small amount of fresh ginger. She was initially skeptical about the ginger because she'd always thought of it as stimulating, but she agreed to try the minimal amount we discussed. We also implemented the timing protocol carefully, with Margaret drinking her tea at 7:15 p.m. each night, exactly 90 minutes after her typical 6 p.m. dinner. In addition to the tea, Margaret committed to the morning light exposure routine and the short post-meal walks we discussed. She was already eating reasonably well, but we made some adjustments to her breakfast to include more protein and her dinner to include fewer refined carbohydrates. For the first week, Margaret didn't see dramatic changes in her blood sugar numbers, but she noticed something interesting. She was sleeping more soundly. She had been waking up 2 or 3 times each night for years, assuming it was just a normal part of aging. With the tea, she started sleeping through the night more consistently, waking up only once if at all. By the end of the second week, Margaret's morning blood sugar readings began to show a downward trend. Instead of the 140 to 150 range she'd been seeing, she was consistently waking up with readings in the 130 to 140 range. More importantly, she reported feeling more alert and energetic in the mornings. The real breakthrough came during the 4th week. Margaret's morning readings dropped into the 120 to 130 range, and she realized she wasn't experiencing those afternoon energy crashes anymore. She told me, "I feel like I have steady energy throughout the day instead of feeling like I'm riding a roller coaster." By the end of 2 months, Margaret's average morning blood sugar had dropped from approximately 145 milligrams per deciliter to 125 milligrams per deciliter. Her bedtime readings had also improved, averaging around 110 to 115 milligrams per deciliter. The difference between her bedtime and morning readings had shrunk dramatically, indicating much better overnight blood sugar stability. But the improvements went beyond just numbers. Margaret reported that her sleep quality had improved so significantly that she felt like a different person. She was waking up naturally before her alarm clock, feeling refreshed and ready for the day. Her afternoon energy levels remained stable, eliminating those problematic snack cravings that had been sabotaging her dietary efforts. 6 months into the program, Margaret had her 3-month average blood sugar test, called hemoglobin A1C, done by her doctor. It had dropped from 6.2%, which is in the pre-diabetic range, to 5.8%, which is considered normal. Her doctor was impressed and agreed that she could continue focusing on natural approaches rather than starting medication at that time. Margaret's success wasn't just about the tea, though the tea was a crucial component. She was consistent with the entire approach: the morning light exposure, the post-meal walks, the improved sleep routine, and the mindful eating practices. She tracked her progress diligently but didn't become obsessive about the numbers, focusing instead on how she felt overall. One of the most interesting aspects of Margaret's experience was how the benefits seemed to compound over time. The better sleep led to better food choices during the day. The stable energy levels made it easier to maintain her walking routine. The improved morning blood sugar readings gave her confidence and motivation to stick with the program even when progress seemed slow. Margaret did experience a few challenges along the way. During her third week, she tried adding hibiscus to her tea because she'd read online about its blood sugar benefits. However, she started experiencing dizziness when standing up quickly, which we realized was likely due to the blood pressure lowering effects of hibiscus combined with her already well-controlled blood pressure. She discontinued the hibiscus and returned to the basic 3-ingredient recipe, and the dizziness resolved within a few days. She also went through a period during her second month where her progress seemed to plateau. Her morning readings stayed in the same range for about 2 weeks, and she worried that she'd reached the limits of what the natural approach could accomplish. We discussed how healing and improvement often happen in waves rather than straight lines, and sure enough, after maintaining consistency for another week, her readings began improving again. Today, Margaret continues to drink her nighttime tea 5 nights per week and maintains all the other lifestyle practices we implemented. She tells people that the combination of better sleep, stable energy, and improved blood sugar control has given her a sense of vitality she hadn't felt in years. Most importantly, she feels empowered and in control of her health in a way that she didn't when she was just waiting to see if her numbers would get bad enough to require medication. Before we move toward wrapping up our comprehensive discussion, I want to address some common myths and misconceptions about herbal approaches to blood sugar management that might be preventing you from getting the best results from this nighttime tea protocol. These myths are widespread, and believing them can either lead to unrealistic expectations or cause you to dismiss potentially helpful approaches entirely. Myth number 1: herbal remedies work immediately, and if you don't see results right away, they're not working. This is completely false and sets people up for disappointment. Unlike pharmaceutical medications that are designed to have immediate, measurable effects, herbal approaches work by supporting your body's natural regulatory mechanisms, and this process takes time. The beneficial compounds in our tea need to build up in your system, your sleep patterns need time to improve, and your metabolic processes need time to become more efficient. Most people begin noticing improvements in sleep quality within the first week, but changes in blood sugar patterns typically take 2 to 4 weeks to become apparent, and the full benefits may not be obvious for 6 to 8 weeks. This doesn't mean the tea isn't working during those first few weeks. It means your body is making gradual adjustments that will eventually result in measurable improvements. Myth number 2: natural means you can use as much as you want without any side effects or interactions. This is one of the most dangerous misconceptions about herbal medicine. Natural substances can be just as powerful as pharmaceutical drugs, and they can absolutely cause side effects or interact with medications if used improperly. This is why we've been so careful to discuss proper dosing, timing, and safety considerations throughout this presentation. The compounds in cinnamon, ginger, and even chamomile can have significant physiological effects, which is exactly why they can be helpful for blood sugar management. But this also means they need to be used responsibly and with awareness of their potential interactions with medications and health conditions. Myth number 3: if a little bit is good, more must be better. I've seen people drink multiple cups of this tea per day or add additional herbs without understanding how this might affect their results or safety. The recipe and dosing recommendations I've provided are based on research showing effective amounts while maintaining safety margins. Using more than recommended doesn't provide better results and can actually cause problems like digestive upset, sleep disruption, or dangerous interactions with medications. Myth number 4: herbal approaches can replace proper medical care and monitoring. While natural approaches can be incredibly effective and should definitely be part of a comprehensive health strategy, they should complement, not replace, appropriate medical care. If you have diabetes or prediabetes, you still need regular medical monitoring, and you should never stop taking prescribed medications without consulting your healthcare provider, even if your blood sugar control improves significantly. Myth number 5. All cinnamon is the same, so any type will work. We've discussed this throughout the presentation, but it bears repeating because this misconception can actually be harmful. Cassia cinnamon, which is what most people have in their spice cabinets, contains high levels of coumarin, which can damage your liver with regular consumption in therapeutic amounts. Only Ceylon cinnamon is safe for the regular use we're recommending in this protocol. Myth number 6. Herbal teas lose their effectiveness over time, so you need to keep switching to different herbs to maintain benefits. This is not true for the herbs we're using in our protocol. Your body doesn't develop tolerance to the beneficial compounds in Ceylon cinnamon, chamomile, and ginger the way it might to certain pharmaceutical drugs. As long as you're using high-quality ingredients and preparing the tea properly, it should maintain its effectiveness over time. Myth number 7. You need expensive, exotic herbs to see real benefits. The herbs in our basic recipe, Ceylon cinnamon, chamomile, and ginger, are all readily available and relatively affordable. You don't need rare, expensive herbs imported from remote locations to achieve significant improvements in blood sugar management. In fact, some of the most effective herbs are ones that have been used in traditional cuisines for centuries. Finally, myth number 8. If your blood sugar doesn't improve with herbal approaches, it means your condition is too severe for natural methods. Blood sugar control is influenced by many factors including genetics, stress levels, sleep quality, physical activity, overall diet, and sometimes underlying health conditions that haven't been identified yet. If you don't see improvements with the tea protocol, it doesn't mean natural approaches can't help you. It might mean you need to address other factors or work with a qualified practitioner to develop a more comprehensive approach. Understanding these myths and the realities behind them helps you approach this tea protocol with appropriate expectations and the best chance of success. Remember, the goal is gradual, sustainable improvement in your overall metabolic health, not dramatic overnight transformations. We've covered an enormous amount of information in the past hour, and I want to make sure you leave here with a clear, actionable plan that you can start implementing tonight. Knowledge without action doesn't change anything, so let's break down exactly what you need to do starting today. Tonight, if you don't have the ingredients for the tea yet, don't let that stop you from beginning the supportive practices we discussed. Start with the evening routine. Dim the lights in your home 2 hours before bedtime, turn off electronic devices at least 1 hour before you plan to sleep, and create a cool, dark, quiet environment in your bedroom. These simple changes alone can begin improving your sleep quality and overnight blood sugar stability. Tomorrow morning, begin with the wake-up routine we outlined. 5 deep breaths before getting out of bed, gentle stretches, and 10 to 15 minutes of natural light exposure within 30 minutes of waking. Follow this with a short walk and a protein-rich breakfast that includes plenty of vegetables and some healthy fats. Your shopping list for the tea ingredients should include Ceylon cinnamon, either in powder form or whole sticks, dried chamomile flowers or chamomile tea bags, and fresh ginger root. Remember to read labels carefully to ensure you're getting Ceylon cinnamon, not cassia cinnamon. If you can't find these ingredients at your regular grocery store, try a health food store or order them online from a reputable supplier. Once you have your ingredients, plan to start the tea protocol on a night when you don't have any early morning commitments the next day, just in case you need to adjust the timing or your body takes some time to adapt. Begin with the basic 3-ingredient recipe exactly as outlined, and resist the temptation to modify it or add additional herbs during your first month of use. Set up a simple tracking system before you begin. This can be a notebook, a smartphone app, or even a basic calendar where you can record your bedtime and morning blood sugar readings along with notes about sleep quality and how you feel. Consistency in tracking is more important than the sophistication of your tracking method. Plan your timing carefully. If you typically eat dinner at 6 p.m. and go to bed at 10 p.m., you would drink your tea between 7:15 and 7:30 p.m. and finish it by 8 p.m. at the latest. Adjust these times based on your personal schedule, but maintain the 60 to 90 minute post-dinner window and the 2 to 3 hour pre-bedtime buffer. Commit to following the complete protocol, not just the tea, for at least 4 weeks before making any judgments about effectiveness. This includes the morning light exposure, post-meal walks, mindful eating practices, and consistent sleep routine. The tea works best as part of this comprehensive approach, not as a standalone intervention. Prepare for the adjustment period. Your taste buds may need a week or two to adapt to unsweetened herbal tea. Your sleep patterns might shift slightly as your body responds to better blood sugar stability. Your energy levels throughout the day may fluctuate as your metabolism becomes more efficient. These changes are normal and typically resolve as your body adapts. Most importantly, stay safe and stay connected with your healthcare provider. Share your tracking information at your next appointment, and don't hesitate to contact them if you experience any concerning symptoms or if your blood sugar readings change dramatically. This approach should enhance your overall health management, not replace professional medical care. Remember, sustainable improvement happens gradually, and consistency trumps perfection every time. You don't need to implement every single recommendation perfectly from day one. Focus on building these practices into habits that feel natural and manageable for your lifestyle. Your blood sugar doesn't have to control your life. With the right combination of natural support, consistent healthy practices, and appropriate medical care when needed, you can achieve the stable energy levels, better sleep, and improved metabolic health you deserve. Start tonight, be patient with the process, and trust that small, consistent actions create lasting, meaningful changes in your health and vitality. The journey to better blood sugar control and overall wellness begins with a single cup of carefully prepared tea and a commitment to supporting your body's natural healing and regulatory abilities. Tonight is the perfect time to take that first step toward the healthier, more energetic future you've been seeking.